Welcome into Rock Painting 101. Today we are going to be doing a spring dangle flower rock. This one's lots of fun. It really brightens up your day, and if you're like me and you're willing spring to come using your rocks, you'll certainly enjoy this one. It's getting closer. The sun's at least out today. I think I heard a few birds chirping, but we'll see. We'll see if it changes around. There's still some snow on the ground. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not a huge lettering expert. That's Rock Painting 101 for you. I think people that just start on rocks, their lettering skills are something that they tend to work on. So I'm going to show you a little tip of how I kind of plan out letters if I'm going to do them on a rock. I pull out my trusty little Post-it notes. I use these a lot. And just make sure left to right it fits on your rock. If it doesn't, fold it over so that you know how wide you have to work with. Move it off to the side and just write your word. Now I'm just using pretty simple lettering. Don't worry about the curls and things like that. Just write your letters. Just simple on here. Space them out a little bit. They don't have to be how they're going to look on the rock. Oh, see, I forgot an I. See, so I'm going to move that in. Just move them apart until you're taking up most of your space. Now I have a full rock here, so I can make these even bigger. And I just kind of go over the same letters and move them around until I have my spacing kind of how I think it's going to look on the rock, width-wise. Just like so. Just so you have an idea of your sizing, okay? I know it looks sloppy and it looks messy, but once you've kind of got the gauge of the size of the S you're going to be able to fit, or how big, you know, your P, you're going to let your P hang down. Sometimes just having that off to the side will visually help you write it on your rock. Because if you start with your S over here really big and you start running out, your letters will get smaller and smaller. That's happened to me quite a few times. So I started doing this. It kind of helps. I usually just take it and I set it right below my rock while I'm painting it. I don't know if you can see that on the screen there or not. But I'm just going to go ahead and start my letters. Now I'm going to do them towards the top of the rock so I have plenty of space to do my dangles below. But as you can see, I've done some fun things off to the side and the top as well. Now I add all my loops and things like that after I get my original letters down. So I'm going to start by just doing my letters. Now this rock is not super duper smooth. So I'm just going to go nice and easy, nice and light with my pen, and I'll hold it slightly on the side to try to keep it from spitting. I try to come up with a better word for that, but I still yet don't have a better way to explain that. But that's what I'll do. I'll kind of spatter. I guess splatter is probably a better word. So just very lightly sketch out your letters. We'll thicken them up and add the extra to it after. So I'm just going to do simple lettering here. These pens really help with this. I could never, ever do this with a brush. Lettering that I've done with brush in the past has never, ever really worked out in my favor. And we'll get these on here, and then we'll kind of jazz them up a little bit. And you can really do this with any style of letters that you want. This is just how I write, you know. There we go. So we've got our basic letters on there. Plain and simple. It is just that easy. Since we're going to add colors in our letters and things like that, you can thicken up your lines and kind of fix anything that you don't love. You know, my favorite artist, you know, there's no mistakes, just happy accidents, right? If you could name who says that in the comments, I'll love you even more. Hi, Terry. Thanks for joining in. Yes, there are chalk and charcoal pencils that you can use on your rocks as well. I don't have any of those. I have thought about grabbing a couple, but so far I haven't completely needed them, but maybe that would help me with my lettering. It is something I'm going to try to start focusing on a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is just start adding little loops and curls and dots at the ends of my letters to get started. So I started with my S here, and you can just make the circles. I'm going to kind of do similar to what I've got here. I'll probably make a few little changes. But just little circles. If you don't feel comfortable making the circles, they can be plain black dots because the color will cover it up just fine. So I'm just going to add a little curl here on the end of this. I like to add dots at the tips of these just to have a spot to add a little pop of color. And we'll make our eye dot a cute little flower because I think that looks really fun in spring. We'll add a dot there. And we can add some fun stuff to the tip of this G. And I've got a little bit more width on this rock, so you just take your lines and really pull them out to the side and you've got more space to cover. We'll add 2 little dots on the tip of that one. Maybe we'll do 3 on the tip of that one and 2 on the tip of this one, and then we'll have 1 on that first one. So now to have good places for your dangles to hang, you need to have some horizontal lines. Now, since a lot of my letters end with straight down, that's why you can pick a letter to pull across. I'm actually going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to take my G and make that a fun little arch here, just to change it up and give you a different option that you can try, because this is really easy to do as well. And then I'm just going to curl this straight down and make it our first dangle here. And I'm going to put a nice little flower at the edge of this one, just like that. Just like so. And now we're just going to start, adding dangles, and I'll kind of try to refresh the comments as I go along here. But the main thing when you're doing these dangles is pretend whatever's at the bottom is weighing it down. So you can curl off to the side and things like that, as long as when the weight ends, it starts heading down again. So you could do dangles off of this little area here that we've made. But if you want to like curl it off to the side like this, as long as you end up going down at the end, like there's something heavy at the bottom to kind of weigh it down. That's kind of how they work. So I'm going to also do my S over here. We're going to add a couple little curls to make it come back down. See, I had that go into the P last time. You don't have to do that. You do whatever you want. You can make it curl up and then head down here. And you can do circles at the ends, and all these, they kind of look simple when they're black, but when you add these little pops of color into them, they really gives it a very fun spring look, and these rocks always just turn out so amazing. And we're just going to go in here and just start adding. So I'm going to add a little dot on the end of my P here. We're just going to have some fun. And this rock, like I said, it's a little bumpy, but we're going to make it work just fine. I don't use anything to smooth my rocks before. I know some people use a layer of Mod Podge, and I always say that, Mod Podge, on their rocks before they do them. If you're planning on maybe selling these or gifting them, that might be a step that you would want to take if you've got a bumpy rock. I'm just hiding mine in my neighborhood, so I don't need to do that extra step really. I think this is just fine how they are. Once they're colored in, they look great. Now I want to add some more flowers like I did over here. I'm going to do some off on this corner here. So I'm just going to just start making little branches where they'll hang up and down. Now flowers can grow up. Not everything has to go down on a dangle. I mean, the weighted pieces, you kind of like to have them go down, but you can have things coming up and add some fun up above your rock as well. Like always, these are just a jumping point for you, so you can try to follow exactly along how I'm doing if you need to, but after you've done one, go ahead and make it your own. Do something completely different, but come back and share. Love, love, love seeing all these rocks that you all are creating. I've seen so many smiling, happy rocks. I love all of those that you guys are coming back and sharing. That was a really fun tutorial that we did, and it's definitely been a favorite. A lot of people are trying that one, and they're turning out really cute. Here we go. You can do diamonds are fun to do. Like that. Do a couple more coming down off this little piece here. There we go, but you get the idea. You can do as many or as few as you want. You make them long, you can make them short, but you get the idea of how we're going along this. Now, the other thing I did was I did thicken up a few of the letters in order to add a little pop of color to each of these letters. So I am going to do that as well. For that, if you're not sure how to go along doing that, you don't have to do it, but all I do is kind of go along and just make a couple sections of it a bit thicker. And I'm going to add a little spot here on the top. And remember, when you're using these pens, you're going to be able to go back over this when you're done. So if this is really thick, we can still fill this in with the blue or pink or whatever, and then you can tighten up your lines again after you're done, either using this pen, or I also have some super skinny pens that I like to use when I'm cleaning up these rocks, just to get in there and really get into that detail. So there's going to be kind of hard to get anything into this eye, so I'm actually just going to make the whole thing thicker, and we'll have it run right into that G like that. We'll add a little arch here. And a little bit here in our curve. Like that. Maybe even a little bit down here. There we go. So now it's the fun part, time to start coloring in. So I've got pastels that I'm working with just because they're very spring to me. I just usually start with one color and try to move the color all over the rock and then move on to the next. Make sure you're always giving them a really good shake before you're going. I'm going to get my little post-it note here on the side here. I like to make sure that it's flowing well too before I take it onto my rock. I use these ones often, so I usually don't have to really pump it or anything to get it going. So now don't worry about your black lines. Like I said, we're going to go back over when we're all done and tighten up those lines. So just go ahead and just kind of color in. Try not to go completely over the line, but you don't have to worry about the thickness of the line. So I'm just going to start coloring in little areas and flowers with my purple here. And I just kind of bounce around the rock from here to there, just so that there's going to be a little purple kind of spanning across the whole rock. We've got plenty of colors to get through, so I just do a little bit of each one. And that way I kind of rotate through them. I just used these yesterday. I just did this rock yesterday while I was watching the snow fall down. I was coloring a spring rock, but I'm ready for spring. And I think this was our last little kick of cold weather, so here's hoping at least. There we go. Do a couple of these hearts with this cute pink. There's two different pinks in this pack. There's kind of a, this is the darker pink, and then there's a light pink too. Okay. Oh, you know what? I missed part of my R. I don't have a thick spot on my R. So we'll thicken that up, and then we'll come back with color. We'll let that black set just a little bit. Doesn't take long at all to dry though, so I'll get back to it here in just a second. We'll fill that in. Let's do a couple little dangles there. And you know what? I didn't do any raindrops on this one. I might add in a little row of raindrops too, because that's one thing about spring, as well as the flowers, we get a lot of little raindrops coming down. So I'm gonna add those in here as well. I think that kind of fits with the theme. So we got those. We got some blue over here. So I'm going to give that R just another quick second, since I'm going to do the raindrops with it too. All right, so let's go in with some pretty yellow flowers. got pretty close to the edge, but we'll fix that. One of these dots over here. And see, it covers up that black really well. So you don't have to worry. If you can't make those circles, just make them black dots. And then just wait until it's completely dry and go back over it. Oh, and I see a few comments. Sorry, I haven't refreshed them in a minute. For some reason, there's a little bit of delay lately with the comments. So I apologize if I'm missing what you guys are putting down right now. Excuse me. So see that end, I'm gonna have to fix that one just a little bit, but it's really easy to do. I'll show you here. We'll get through this pretty quick here. And obviously if you're at home, you can take a little bit more time doing all these coloring in and things like that so that you don't have as much cleaning up to do. Let's see here. Hi Teresa, hi Kaya. Oh, you even mentioned the R. Yep, I got to that R, but good eye there. Yeah, I probably would have noticed after I got off if I didn't while I was doing it. I just like to add a little bit of color to those letters. That way they're not just plain Jane up there. Okay, so we got 2 more colors here. I've got a green and another pink. So we'll get in here and add green on here. There we go. Green over here. And I'll do pink in that flower. Here, let's do a couple of these here in green. All right, this is my last color, and then we'll start touching it up just a little bit. So let's get this last pink flower here. See, and this pink is a little bit of more of a pale pink, which is really pretty. Okay, I think I've got all of my spots. And you can go in, I went in and did a little orange dot in the center of my flowers. It just depends on if you have the space to do that or not. Now you can go back through with your extra fine Posca and just a really fine touch if you want to. I also have these super skinny pens that if you're real careful with them, you can use them on your rocks. I always tell people, I will tell you every single time, be real careful, because the first set that I started using on rocks, I wasn't paying attention. I wore them down really fast. So I like to do them when I'm already on top of a layer of paint, especially on a rough rock like this. I really get on the side and barely touch it to the rock, but they're really good for getting in here and cleaning up lines. And this R is going to be a good example. Now I did have somebody ask if they continue to work. What I like to make sure I do after I've gone on top of paint or on my rock is to write on a piece of paper just like this really quick, just because you might be getting like a little bit of dust in the tip of this. So you do want to be careful, because these are not cheap by any means. So you want to make them last, but they are great for getting in these tiny details. Now, if you don't have something like this, you could just make your spring rock even bigger. If you make all your dangles a little bigger, you can get in here with your extra fine pen and get quite a bit of detail going as well. So that is an option too. I'll get in there. And so you just work your way around and clean up. Oh, I missed a dot up here. Just clean up any of the edges that you see flaws in, or you just want to crisp them up a little bit. See, like the edge of this diamond got a little bit off. Really helps create those points. And especially if you're coloring in quickly like I was, you'll have more spots. If you take your time when you're coloring, this part of the process will be a lot shorter. Oh, and I missed a dot over here too. There we go. So I really hope you guys give this a try. It's a really fun rock to do. It's definitely very spring. You could do all sorts of things with this. The options here are endless. You could add some tulips. I should have done a tulip on here for our tulip week. You could add tulips, you know, anything that you think of spring could be added to this. A little bird. So many options. But yeah, see, if you just go in with your black, and you really can tighten up those lines. So I'm going to continue to do this. I'm not going to have you sit here the whole time that I clean this up, but I'll leave a picture of it when it's all done in the comments. And if you do one of these rocks, come back and leave a picture in the comments as well. Okay, everybody? So have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all soon. Take it easy.